Hi, good afternoon. We're here with Simon Midgley from Starling's Independent Cafe Bar in Harrogate. How you doing, Simon?
I'm good, thanks, mate.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for joining us today. So, if you could start us off by giving us a little bit more background as to who you are and what it is that you do exactly.
I own a company called Murmuration Ltd. We're a hospitality company, and we have currently just one venue based in Harrogate called the Starling. Um, it's quite a sort of chameleon venue, so we have a brunch menu and specialty coffee from through the morning from sort of 9, 10 o'clock, and then we kind of pivot switch through sort of mid-afternoon into more of a bar in the evening. So we do all our own Neapolitan pizzas, Neapolitan style pizzas from scratch, and we've got 16 draft beers on the bar as well. So we've also got a good event space. So as I say, very much a chameleon kind of hospitality business, trying to keep I suppose use all the kind of visit occasions through the day to sort of make best use of covering costs.
And a great place it is, as we were just saying off camera before, that we've used it as a venue ourselves. And 16 beers on the bar is a fantastic choice. So how long have you been doing that? When did you set it up?
This company's been going just over 7 years, and I've been in hospitality myself more years than I'd care to admit on here, but probably like, if pushed, probably 25
Wow.
years plus.
And so what was the spark for you to start the business, to start Starling?
Um, I guess I mean I'd been director of a multi-site or a couple of multi-site businesses before.
Mhm.
Market Town Taverns, we had 15, we worked up to 15 sites there before we sold to Heron and Brearley, who are based on the Isle of Man. I was, for the last couple of years, I worked up to managing director there for a couple of years before I left. And I was a commercial director at Ossett Brewery Taverns as well following that. But I guess I'd kind of always fancied something that I had ultimate control. It sounds a bit like
Under
Dick
the
Dastardly or
control.
something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds like I want ultimate control over something.
Yeah, yeah.
But just it's nice to have obviously your own baby and to come up with the company and build it on your values. You know, the products that you can see as a developing market. Hence the coffee with Starling, and the brunch side of things, as well as the bar side of things. And yeah, I knew Harrogate very well. The
Mhm.
opportunity presented itself, and it just everything sort of aligned. Seemed like the right time, and yeah, made the scary commitment with a lot of savings and a few sleepless nights.
Yeah, brilliant. We might go into those in a little bit later. So, what in terms of making you stand out from other options that there are in Harrogate, how would you
Yeah.
say you've done that so far?
I think we've always tried to get the service side. That's probably the most important thing. I've got a really good team. Obviously, it's a constant battle in hospitality. It tends to be a very transient team, particularly at the sort of part-time end of the group of staff that we have. So, a decent set of training, um, value, being really quite clear on the values that we want as staff interacting with customers, what we want to see, how we want them to be, which it's no different than anyone else, I guess. But we just ask our guys. We want it to be natural, really.
Yeah.
Communication and good service and going the extra mile is probably what any hospitality company would say. But I think it's doing it in a way that's a bit more personal,
Mhm.
and suits their character. And isn't kind of trotting out robot phrases like you get in a lot of the chains and things like that, which they're expected to say at certain service points. So um, yeah, so we take on individuals who we think have got the right social skills,
Mhm.
and if they haven't got the technical skills from a bar side, we train them in, or we refocus the level of consistency and qualities we want. But if we tend to find, if you haven't got the right personality to start with, you can't train that in. You've got
Sure.
to pick the right folk and go
Yeah.
from there. So service was a big thing. The the offer we have is kind of, I believe, quite a considered offer. So it's local suppliers. Brewery wise, for example, it tends to be breweries in the north, apart from specialist Belgian beers and things like that. Same with food, we deal with Sykes House Farm in Wetherby, all those sorts of things. And whilst we don't have a particularly technical menu, we make all that we can on site and all that's feasible, I should say as well, commercially. We make everything or most things on site here. So all our own pulled pork we make from a joint to meat. All our beef brisket we make from a short rib Jacob's ladder rack. So we try and do things, properly and in a considered fashion. And I believe the customers we have can see that difference against somewhere where it just buys things in tubs from Booker's or whatever.
Sure thing. So how do you align all of that with, in terms of, like, I suppose, creating the ambience of choosing the inside of the venue, how that looks and feels? Is it your personality that you kind of drive that forward with?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the name was a bit of my personality, I suppose. Nature lover and into bird watching and being outside and all that kind of stuff. The overlap's supposed to be, it's always a bit cringeworthy when I tell the story, if I'm honest. But when starlings fly together, they what's called murmurate. So it's when they make all the patterns. You've probably seen it. It's been televised, or on YouTube or whatever. And it's that teamwork, and community of the starlings there, which we thought translated really well to not just the staff team, but kind of a community from a customer point of view as well. And that intention has sort of played out. We've got a really broad church of customers, which we love having, which is wonderful. From groups of sixth formers coming in after school for coffees or whatever, right through to chaps finishing work on a Friday and having after work beers. So and families and a real broad spectrum of customers, and it all seems to work. It patchworks itself together quite nicely. Different occasions, different types of customer. So it was an intention that sort of played out quite well.
It's kind of a culture that you sort of have developed through your branding, I suppose, and what your
I suppose you're right. But branding in the sense of how the venue feels and is, and how the staff are, and the way we engage, I suppose, as well with our community around us. So we've had, I think, 5 or 6 certainly placement students from Henshaws, which is a school for deaf and blind. Assume I'm using the right phraseology. Apologies if I'm not using the right terms there, but they're a specialist college anyway, based in Harrogate. So we, for example, currently have a wonderful student called Dora, whose work comes and works with us every Tuesday. She works in the kitchen with the guys there and learning life skills, and hopefully skills that will they have enabled her to land a job, because she leaves us in July after 2 years of placement with us and is starting a new fully paid job over near where she lives in Hull. So we try and engage in things like that as well, which sort of reaches out to the community a bit too.
Yeah, it sounds like you mentioned the word community. That was what sprang into mind listening to your description of the business and bringing different people from the community together in your space. So what does the future look like for you guys? What are the plans going ahead, and what are the challenges that you foresee that you're looking to navigate and to overcome?
The future's good, future's bright, I'd say. There's obviously lots of challenges. We expanded the business just under a year and a half ago, and tripled the size of our ground floor bar area and reconfigured all the bar there. And that really gave us a huge boost, particularly on an evening, with the evening trade. And into this year, we're starting to see like-for-likes, obviously, over the last sort of 3-4 months, start to land, and we're certainly holding those turnover levels that we achieved with the big jump, which were certainly the alcohol side. We doubled overnight when we reopened from doing those the bar transformation. and we by and large held that. So yeah, I mean, the ambitions for this year is really to see some modest growth if we can, and we'll certainly hold the turnover levels that we have achieved with the new space. The real battle, and my kind of behind the scenes battle, if you like, is just trying to keep a cap on costs. That's a huge challenge for any hospitality retail business, I would imagine. Certainly my experience, but in this, over the last couple of years, it's just got more and more difficult. Staff cost is the main cost for our kind of business, so we're generally in the region of 35 to 45% of our net turnover is staff cost. And whereas my individual political hat, if I wear that one, thinks that a 10% pay rise every year is the right thing for the people in general and for the country, the community. And I do believe that that translates into a significant challenge for businesses like mine, because the only way to maintain parity in profit terms on that is to ultimately pass it on to the customer, or try and make other savings elsewhere, with other costs. So over the last couple of years, navigating that balance of costs need to go up, but clearly everyone's pocket of spendable money, you get told by the media, is going down. So there's got to be, that's it's not an ideal situation at all. So it's been a real balancing act trying to pitch where we are price wise in the market, getting that right, and well, just still offering good value, but it pushing the boundary and challenging people's perception of what is good value, I think, because and part of that comes full circle into the provenance and where things come from, and one of the things we're doing, I'm digressing now, excuse me, but one of the things we're doing this year is to invest quite a lot more on, we've got a consultant on social media and also on PR, and we're trying to tell that story a lot. I will shout that story out a lot louder, of what we choose, why we choose it, doing reels, for example, for socials, based on going back to the pulled pork and things like that, showing what we do and the care and the homemade nature of the food that we make, so that when hopefully people come in and eat it, they do perceive more value because they understand the story better, and they get all the background and the love and care that's gone into making it. So where was I now? I seriously digressed now, but staff cost, I was saying, wasn't I?
It's about challenges and the things that we've got to do to maintain improvements going into the future, I think.
So that sort of covers staff costs. I think obviously everyone's struggled with energy. Again, they pretty much doubled overnight last year, and we came out of a fixed, and our energy went from basically about 20 grand a year to 40 grand a year, which for small premises such as ours is a huge, has a huge impact on everything. So it just has become a lot more difficult to extract the levels of profit, and you've got to, as I say, my role this year is to really focus on that, and try and each month I'm from checking invoice prices on food, challenging food suppliers, just really going through everything with a fine-tooth comb. And I think that's the thing, when you're a small independent business, you've not got an accounts department and a marketing department and a whatever HR department to do all these things for you. You've just got to look at what the best value for your time is, and certainly this year the cost side of things has got to be priority for me. I think, just to give you an idea, operating profit wise, I think if you're high single figures, I would suggest in this industry, so like 8, 9, possibly 10%, proportion of your overall net turnover is operating profit, I think you're doing pretty well. So the battle for us is for me to keep that in the sort of 5 to 10% conversion down to the bottom line for this business.
Sure, I definitely think you're not alone in experiencing these kind of fluctuations or increases in costs in the marketplace. It's something that resonates a lot with business owners, especially in the hospitality trade, as you say. That it's something that is a big factor affecting things at the moment. I was chatting to Ilkley Brewery last week, and talking about the costs and and that type of business and how it's affected them. So fair play to you for being here and being open and honest about it, and being an independent business. I think people do want to shop there and go to places such as yours, and knowing those stories and where the foods come from is really important. So hats off to you for being in the space and making it happen. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Cheers.
So in terms of lessons for all the 7 years that you've been out on your own at the moment, if there's one that you could pick that stands out for you, what would it be? What first springs to mind?
I think it's just to trust your gut, I suppose. I think as long as you're weighing up, I mean, over those 7 years, there's been more of a roller coaster of COVID and all the rest of it, and everything happening. And you're open, you're closed, you're doing this, you're doing that. You're only allowed to open outdoors. All these kind of crazy things that if you'd said the year before COVID, this is what's going to happen, you'd be like, yeah, right, yeah, I believe you. So yeah, lots of pressures and things, and I think it's giving yourself the time and space. Certainly for me anyway. I think as an owner operator and being involved on the coal face in the business, it's easy to want to just, because it's personal, because it's your business. And that was a new thing for me, with it being the first time it was something I was creating entirely. I found that I want to get stuck in and be involved in everything and sort everything out. And you can't, you've got to give yourself time to step back and work on things. And if you've put all the recruitment and the training in place, it's trusting your team to deliver that. And I think not feeling guilty as well for stepping back a bit and giving yourself time, and not imagining there's that tendency to sort of, for my personal character, to think people are thinking, oh, he's swanning in at 7 o'clock and swanning out there, and he's only doing 20 hours here. And but you've got to just look yourself in the mirror and be confident that your time management and the time you're spending on tasks for the business, whether they're seen by the rest of the team or not, are the right ones. And you can, as I say, you can only reach those right decisions or take the path that you think is the right one by giving yourself space to do that and time to do that.
Sure. So what inspires you to do what you do then? We've kind of reflected on why you started the business, but is there any inspiration that you use sort of day-to-day, team members, your family, people that you listen to, podcasts, books, anything like that?
Certainly not podcast or books. I'd love to be better read and to give more time, but I never seem to have any time for stuff like that. Got a young family as well. 2 kids who are 8 and 5. So when I'm not at work, I'm generally doing something with them. I don't know that there necessarily is. I think just having a successful company, really, which is what we have got here. That's really the motivation, I would say, in a multifaceted way. So it's great to employ people, to know that you're contributing to their families and their livelihoods. It's wonderful for mine to see my kids come into the business when we're open, say hello to all the staff, and that is fantastic. And to hear them talking about our Starling and things, it's means a lot. And again, that link to the community is part of it as well, being being respected, I suppose, within the Harrogate community and being able to contribute. I'm involved in Harrogate Bid, for example, things like that through the business, and the profile of the business is also a value for me.
Great. That was a nice all-encompassing summary of your inspiration, I think, there. So if someone came to you about starting a business and asked for a piece of advice, what would that be?
What would it be? I think I would just say, be 100% sure that you're going in with your eyes open. Take time to take on board knowledge from others and an opinion from people who are in similar positions, or kind of, I don't think, certainly not a weakness to be asking opinion, asking for help, things like that. You've got to be, I think, because there's so much pressure on costs and what have you, you've got to be, I believe, 100% clear with what you're doing. There's people through friends who have come to me about opening cafes and things like that, and I'm more than happy to sit down and go through rough figures with them and the sorts of things they need, because I think, particularly with hospitality, there seems to be a lot of people who think you retire to run a pub or a cafe, which seems like totally the to me a very strange mentality, because that certainly ain't going to happen. So yeah, just research, listen, really hear what people are saying, and if you're still up for it, then yeah, go for it. I think it amplifies, probably be a better word, both ends of the emotion spectrum for me, running your own business. So you have much better highs. Sometimes you get kicked in the nuts, for want of a better word, as well, and there's sleepless nights, tough days too. But yeah, it definitely, I certainly have no regrets doing what I did with this business.
So then lastly, Simon, if there's any sort of latest news around what you're up to, I know you've shared a little bit with regards to, say, socials, stuff like that, or if it's a case of just sharing your website, letting us know a little bit more about where you are, where we can find you.
Yeah, we're on all the usual social channels: Facebook, Insta. We're at Starling HGTE. We're also, our website is starlinghgte.co.uk. Got LinkedIn page as well, which is Starling Harrogate. So yeah, it'd be great to it should all be, particularly with the investment this year, should all be a lot more up to date perhaps than it was this time last year. So yeah, lots of interesting reels and stuff about how we go about things and the products we have here.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you being so open with your reflection today, and I wish you all the best for the future success of the business.
Thank you, Mike.